Good evening mga kalaro and welcome to the Council of Titos, the show on the Laro-Laro lang channel where we sport Titos talk about a different kind of game, the reality TV game show and social experiment that has run for over 2 decades, Survivor. I'm Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon, and with me for tonight's council is Vice Chief Bisdak Jao Atienza. What's up, Jao? How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. I'm good. We still don't have Martin.
We still don't have Martin. Martin, wherever you are, we hope that you come back from Exile Island and join us in the next council. Okay, yeah. For tonight's episode, the Council of Titos are gonna give our thoughts about episode 2 of Survivor season 42, entitled "Good and Guilty." The council is going to give our highlights and lowlights for the episode, as well as our thoughts and predictions for the upcoming episodes. All right, so I let's start with our highlights. Jao, what can maybe let's start with you. What are your highlights from the episode? What are the highlights you saw
But
throughout the episode?
one of the things that really stood out to me was socks.
Socks?
Socks.
Why?
Like because Hai had like socks on, and
Okay.
and what's her name? Chanel had socks on, and like because we get more Chanel, which is pretty cool. And
Yeah,
like
that was
that was
pretty
one of
cool.
the first
Yeah,
things that I noticed. Like, oh, cool, we get Chanel, and
and
she gets
she's sort of integral into what's happening and
yeah,
what's happening.
right. Like if anybody is being quote unquote purpled now, it looks like it's Lindsay. Um, but uh it's high, dude, because high
Right?
had socks on, and
I had high
apparently
socks.
yeah, high had high socks on, and apparently the dog on his socks were like the actual picture of his dog, um
Oh,
which which kind of reinforces that sort of journey that he went through, which I found to be one of the highlights, right? Like getting to see the toll that this game takes on people, like not only in terms of the hunger and all of that, but forcing them to confront their beliefs.
yes, yes, yeah. Because I mean that title of the episode is actually comes from his quote, right? When
Yeah,
he was asked after being a vegan, and then he was forced, more or less. No, not he was forced. He had to eat meat after how long has he been a vegan? A really long time, and it
yeah,
was like really a strong belief of his. And when they asked him how he felt, he said, good and guilty." So that's the where the episode title actually comes from. Oh, so I
yeah.
didn't know that his socks featured a picture of what his dog.
I think that's what it is. Like, I think that's what he mentioned on social media or something. So yeah,
Mm.
that was something that I found to be pretty cool. Apparently, you can get pictures of your dog on like your socks, but it stood out to me, right? Because like I don't really see socks on Survivor. you know,
True, true. That's right.
like they're usually just barefoot on the beach. So yeah, like having to confront sort of your beliefs, having to um not so much like a lot of it had to do with beliefs. Like a lot of this episode, or the stuff that stood out to me on this episode, had to do with beliefs, and how say, was it Omar and Jonathan,
Yeah,
um and
it
and
was actually
Lindsay.
Omar who opened up first, right?
Yeah,
Omar opened up first. And yeah, I get what you're saying about this episode talking about beliefs. Yeah, it was Omar who opened up first because he didn't want the rest of the tribe to get surprised if ever he did something. So he opened up that he was Muslim, and that's actually one of my highlights. I love the vibe of that tribe, the Vati tribe. Yeah, they're the
Taco.
Vati tribe. Yeah, yeah. I love the vibe. They're so. I mean, I'm guessing that the other two tribes are probably open and accepting as well. But this episode just showed us just that how the Vati tribe was really very open and very accepting. So when Omar opened up about his religious beliefs, Jonathan and then sorry, Omar said that if you have any questions about my faith, you can just ask anything. You can ask anything, right? And then Jonathan just went and said, "Well, if you have questions about Christianity as well, yeah, you can just go ahead and ask."
in my notes it was like, oh, it's the Jesus tribe. And then I was like, wait, no, it's um now that Taku only has Jonathan, Marianne, Omar, and Lindsay, right? They made a point about Lindsay being Jewish, Marianne being a seminary student, and Omar being like a Muslim. It's sort of like, if all four of the remaining members of Taku make it into the merge, I can see like an Abrahamic alliance coming together. You know, like the Abrahamic religions coming
Mhm.
together as sort of the original Taku tribe. But you know, that's um I really like their tribe. You know,
Mm, mm.
like you were saying, yeah, that was one of the highlights, like the vibe of that tribe, the sort of family dynamic that they talk about,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
which made the vote out of Maria
Mm,
even more heartbreaking, right?
yeah.
Is like, of all of the tribes, they were the tribe that felt like there was no real sort of drama going on.
No animosity.
And
No one was scheming, or at least none that we see, right?
yeah, yeah, nobody was on the outs
Hmm.
really, you know.
Yeah.
They even made a point of it, right? Like when Jonathan was saying, like, you know, it really sucks that they have to essentially lie to their faces,
Mm.
saying like,
That it isn't
I'm not
you.
gonna vote for, yeah, it isn't you or whatever. Really great piece of editing. That was another highlight. The
Hmm.
editing of the Taku tribe this week was just amazing. Like in the confessional, we have to tell them to their face that we're not going to vote them out. Then jump cut to him telling like, Marianne, I'm not gonna vote for you. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Really,
Then
really good. Really good. Good on CBS. Good on the Survivor uh behind the scenes guys for doing all of that.
yeah, and even during the final scramble, when they were editing it to look like there was it was a choice between two people, like the
Yeah.
way they cut back and forth as if they were having a conversation with each other, like,
Mm.
you know, through the magic of editing, you know, whatever it was that Marianne said, it was relevant. It was sort of a it was sort of a response to Maria, and vice versa. It was just like chef's kiss.
Mm. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's a good highlight. That's a good highlight. Any other
What-
highlights that you found in this episode?
quite a lot actually, but let's just hop over to you first. That way.
Wow, wow. So you really like this episode. Yeah, for me, we've been, I'm sorry, I said that they were Vati, they're Taku.
Yeah.
The Taku tribe. Uh my primary highlight is actually on my the person that I'm rooting for the most. And she's on the Ika tribe, and it's Swati. I like how Swati is sort of being positioned as very strategic. Uh, yeah, she was actually she was the one, and I started to remember that in the last episode she was also the one, or at least she was shown as the one, as the first person to mention Zach's name, and
Mm,
that's what happened. That was a vote that happened, and then here, we could see that again she was being strategic. She was the one who, it was her confession, if I remember correctly. That after Tori's confessional, they were the ones who were talking about how Dre is getting very powerful, getting very dangerous to have around camp, right? To have around as a competitor. So I like that. I like that fact. I like that they're bringing her up, bringing my vote, my choice for Soul Survivor up. Right. So yeah, that's one thing that I learned, and I really like going back to the Taco tribe. I really like the bromance of Jonathan and Omar. I
the
like that they
mutual
were able to
abrasion.
find to bridge. Yeah, they were able to bridge that gap. It started, or at least we saw it because of that reciprocated openness to share one's beliefs and experiences with each other, and then it becomes like Jonathan comes up and says that they together they make the perfect human being.
Yeah, that's so. It's like when you look at the other members of the tribe, looking at them, they're not like, oh, scheming. We have to get rid of them. They're like, oh, that's adorable.
And it goes back again to the vibe of the vibe of the tribe. They were the ones who got hurt first because of the medivac of Jackson.
Jackson.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and they started off already at a disadvantage. They started off the challenges at a disadvantage, and they're the ones who, I guess, what they say is true. If you go through a shared adversity, you can become even closer. So I guess that they were able to do that, and it's just, yeah, it's just fitting that the most emotional, the most uh, heart on sleeve castaway is on that tribe as well. Yeah, and then I actually just have three highlights. My third highlight, I really I want to keep on highlighting this until it's proven wrong. Jenny is a beast on puzzles. She in that immunity challenge, she didn't. I don't think she needed that much direction because she was just feeling out the pieces and then she was just putting them in. She didn't even have to see the pieces to actually finish the puzzle, and that was so cool for me. I mean, I'm sure that Lydia thought that was there to give her some direction, but even with what I saw, she's just a beast. Until it's proven wrong, she's like, if the rest of the episodes are just gonna show puzzles, she's gonna be there until the end, right?
If I remember correctly, that in that challenge, the what tribe? Vati, right? The Vati tribe, they were like last, and it was the combination of Jonathan not being good at puzzles and Jenny being really good at puzzles that kind of what's it? That kind
It
of turned the
spelled
tide.
the
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I was perplexed by the decision to make Jonathan the caller because he was the one who was gonna help them out with the puzzle. And like you, I've started watching the podcast as well. Although I try to stay away from them as much as I can. And I think in one of the podcasts, I think it was the exit interview of Mariah.
Hmm.
I think the decision to make Jonathan the caller was because he had the loudest voice, or something like that.
Yeah. Uh, Um, and it was during one of the secret scenes, right?
Mhm.
Because like they released those, and
Mhm.
on YouTube for whatever reason they find their way to me now. That's kind of how it is. You don't look for the secret scenes, you don't look for Ponderosa, they just
Mhm.
kind of show up on your feed.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the algorithm for you, man.
so during one of the secret scenes, they showed that they were practicing
Oh.
with blindfolds, right? Because like Tremail comes in, they're like, oh, it's a blindfolded task. There needs to be a caller. They made the decision that Jonathan is going to be the caller, and they practiced. So it was like, you're saying, okay, move forward, stop, right, bend over, pick that up. It's right there, that sort of thing. So, um, you know, the the fact that they practiced, I think, was the reason that they didn't decide to like change it up because they already had a plan going into it. Turns
Mm.
out it wasn't the right plan, but like they had a plan going into it mostly.
I see. I see. Yeah, I guess they didn't factor in the idea that there might be a puzzle. The-
It's like a pizza.
it's like a pizza. In a way, I could understand what he was trying to convey, but I don't know how that was gonna help his teammates to figure it out, because that and this was also pointed out, I think, in I think Rob's sister Nino pointed it out. You never have pizza sliced that way, right?
We should make that a thing. Let's make that a thing. By the next time I go to Manila, let's like get a pizza, slice it up
have
like
it sliced in concentric circles and then with weird different like segments. Yeah, let's make that a thing. Let's make that a thing. And then we'll show it online. Tag Survivor. Yes, Jonathan, you're right. It is like a pizza.
here. Another one of my highlights was the secret scene with Swati, your
Mm-hmm.
pick. It was really funny because it was it highlighted the difference in age between Roxroy and Swati.
Oh.
Because they were they were asking her whether she had heard of these people, and she hadn't. Like, have you heard of Aerosmith? She's like, no. Like, have you heard of Cher? I know she exists, but I don't know what she is. Is she a singer? Is she a model? I don't know. What about the Backstreet Boys? Oh yeah, they're a boy band. My mom used to listen to them. Like, oh my god.
Wow. But this is like Roxroy and Roxroy and Swati talking.
Yeah, well, like a lot of
Oh,
it was
okay.
around the camp, right? But
Mm.
um what was it? It helps to build that dynamic of that father-daughter kind of thing, because I
Oh.
think that's how they're kind of building that relationship
Mm.
um between Roxroy and Swati, right? Like,
Mm. Yeah, because
even
again, we
in
go back to the first episode. They were the two who were talking about who to vote out. They were the ones who were like they were gonna vote. You would think that they were gonna vote together. Right?
yeah, so it's like, hmm. Um,
Mm.
Another thing that I found really funny was, you alluded to this earlier, when Drea goes up to like Swati and Tori, gotta be girls strong. Like,
Hmm.
you only thought of that now.
Yeah, but the thing is, I don't think it's the right thing to do. But I think that Tori, the way that Tori said it, it was so. I don't. I'm not sure how Drea felt hearing that from Tori that way. It was like
Yeah.
it was as if she was being patronizing or condescending. Like, well, yeah, I just thought of it now, right? It was, I don't know how I would have felt if I told someone's a possible strategy and then they told me, wow, that's the first time I heard of it. That's the first time I thought about that. Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way Drea responds, like, no.
And
Like,
then
with
yeah.
such a straight face. Like,
Yeah, it was just so weird. It was just so weird. How did you find the was it right for Drea to tell them about the her advantage? You think
huh, that's a tough one. Huh? That's
the
quite a tough one.
additional
Like,
vote? Yeah, that's
yeah,
the
like,
that's the that's the advantage that she shared with Swati and Tori.
yeah, like, uh, that's something that you would probably do that if you were already in an alliance with them, right? Not as something that you use to form an alliance,
Mm,
you know?
yeah,
Like,
that's
and
like
at least
yeah,
that's how I would think that advantages
right.
should, or how you should approach these sorts of advantages. Like,
Yeah,
only the
yeah,
people that you have an existing alliance with. You
exactly,
know?
exactly. Do you have any other highlights that you
Uh, was it
want to point out?
the uh Mike, Mike losing the idol? I found that so funny.
Oh, Mike losing the idol. Yeah, that was funny. Uh, it goes to his characterization of being just like this really earnest guy. Not really. Again, he's the guy who said that he's balanced in all of the aspects. He's
Yeah.
not he's not super smart. He's not super strong. He's not super strategic. He's not super social. He's just all of them. He's just balanced, right?
But it looks like they're playing up him being weak in the sort of outwit part of all of all of it, like, um because it was like Daniel and Chanel directly after, right? Being like, no, we're gonna vote him out. It's
Hmm.
they're they're setting up a blind side basically.
Yeah. 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 That was the yeah. It was basically, it was Daniel. Actually, that was I was gonna go to that. That's actually one of my lowlights. Um, because talking about using your advantage, trying to use your advantage to come up with an alliance. That's what Mike exactly did. He found an advantage, the beware advantage. So the beware advantage has come up again, and what his phrase was: "There's such grace in the sport of soccer that I can't help but cry," or something like
Something
that.
like that, yeah.
Yeah. And he doesn't like soccer. So yeah, so and he used that advantage. He used the beware advantage as to try and broker an alliance with Daniel, because he already had sort of a relationship with Jenny, so that was fine. He said that she's the person that he trusts the most, so that's why he told her. And then he told Daniel because he said that he needed an alliance with someone who isn't necessarily someone he vibes with just yet. And there he may have a point. With there may be a point why he's not vibing with Daniel, because Daniel is a schemer, right?
Yeah.
As soon as he found out about the advantage, he goes to Chanel. Chanel is again being highlighted. She's not purple anymore.
Yeah.
So she's in on it, right? So Daniel goes ahead and tells Chanel that he prefers either that the idol doesn't get activated, or well, that's what he prefers, but the other way is for Mike to get voted out. And as you said, that's what they're setting up. They're trying to set up Mike getting blindsided. It's for me that well that it it was a low light for me, because my initial thoughts of Daniel are getting proven, that he's a schemer. He might be a nice guy to hang around with, but I'm not sure. I can't root for him. He's being shown as a bit of a villain, right? Yeah. So he's a schemer. I that's a low light for me, it's a low light for me because I like Mike. Uh, I like the old Jersey guy, retired firefighter vibe that he gives, and that was it was just such a blunder for me that he told Daniel about his hidden advantage. Yeah, but yeah.
I get the feeling that this might be a low light for you, but it's
Mhm.
something that's 50-50 for me. I didn't come to Survivor to watch Love Island. I don't know what to make of the Marianne Zach thing.
Oh, yes, it is a ah well. I don't really have thoughts about it one way or the other. Yes, it because it's the general. I have my note here. It's the Tito in me. I'm not vibing Marianne really. She's a joy to watch, and a lot of people say that she's good for TV. But again, the Tito in me, because it's I think it's because I imagine myself in the shoes of her castmates. I wouldn't be able to stand being around her 24/7. Yeah, and that's just me being me, right? Uh, and add this whole crush thing, and then I guess they're trying to also build her up because she's one of the younger ones, younger castaways, and yeah, it's yeah, they're building her up too much for me. They're building her up too much.
There's something funny about Zach actually.
Mm.
Um, when Mariah was interviewed, during one of her interviews, she mentioned that when she told Zach about the Marianne thing,
Hmm.
Zach was Zach pretty much said like, "Oh yeah, now I hope she makes it all the way to the end," because as long as she's on the show, I'm on the show.
I get. Oh, see, there you go. If that's what Zach said, right? So he
Yeah,
hopes that Marianne gets farther in the show because he'd always get mentioned, right?
yeah.
For him, it's a vehicle to get his name out there. He's a fan of the show. He wants to, yeah, he wants to use the show to gain notoriety. So I'm happy with him getting voted out. I'm gonna say that again. I'm happy with him getting voted out.
I get
Yeah.
the feeling that I'm going to feel the same way when Tori gets voted out. I'm not vibing with Tori.
Mm. Yeah. I don't have a I don't have an opinion about her one way or the other just yet. Uh, m- but I do see how she can grate on viewers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I
She,
mean, yeah, not vibing. Her like right at the beginning, right? Like, oh, I wish I could sleep in a warm bed. Like, then pull a Purple Kelly.
mm,
Like, quit.
yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah. It's the whole conniving and trying to play on the sentiments of her the other castaways, and I'm sure even on the viewers. Yeah, she's trying to show some one side of her because she went into this game not being truthful,
Yeah,
so we can't really completely trust the way that she presents herself, right?
true. I mean,
Yeah.
she might not even be a therapist.
This is another one. Are they gonna come up with like question marks at the end of her thing, the end of her occupation?
Yeah, a Secret Service agent. It was like what like what's her name? Like Lydia, right? Lydia was also like is also like an actor.
You
Like
sure?
yeah, yeah. I think she has like uh she's like an aspiring actor or something. She was like an extra
Mm.
in she's one of those types of
Yeah,
actors
she's
like
what
up and coming,
yeah.
right? She was like an
Oh,
extra in a
is
big
she
movie.
already up and coming? Is she in the business already?
I think so. Like
Oh,
I seem to remember that like reading an article somewhere that she has, been an extra in a number of films. So I'm like, oh, all
oh
right,
well, she's
cool.
an ex. You can't really say that she's up and coming if she's just an extra. I mean,
Well, I mean, come on. Okay, all right, sorry. I'm not part of the film industry. I'm sorry.
yeah, I mean, extra means that she's been in the back. She's done background work.
All right.
But yeah, I do seem to remember that. Yeah, that she is an aspiring actress. Uh, yeah, we really can't say. We really can't say. Yeah, Tori, I do get how she can become grating. Yeah.
And
Any other highlights or lowlights for you?
my low light really is that they don't seem to be giving Lindsay very much love right now. Like I have I'd like to think I have a pretty good picture of like most of the cast.
Mm,
It's just Lindsay I don't have very much on, you
mm,
know. I get the feeling that they're not showing her as much as they could.
mm. So is she our purple candidate for now more than Chanel?
Hey, Chanel was being all scheming and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
and she was there with Hai while Hai was like having an emotional breakdown, and she was like, "Gonna give you a hug. It's gonna be okay." Right?
yeah, maybe we should have like a purple for the episode, you know,
So
last week the
yeah,
purple
yeah,
for the episode.
I do agree with you. Lindsay is the yeah, she wasn't featured as much as the rest of the castaways for this episode. Not sure if that's gonna continue. Yeah, depends on what happens next, right? Yeah, for me, I already mentioned this last episode, and I mentioned it a couple of times already on this episode. My big low light for this is still the bundle of joy, Marianne. Again, it's the Tito in me. I love her. I love her energy. I want this out there. I love Marianne's energy, but the Tito in me just cannot take her 24/7. For sorry, 24/26. Like it's gonna be 26 days.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think that I'll be able to take her being around her for 26 days, 24 hours a day. Um, and some of her tribe mates did already start to see it. Lindsay and Marianne took note of it, right? Sorry, not
Yeah.
Marianne, Mariah.
Yeah.
They took note of it. It's the older ones who took note of it. Like even Jonathan was like, well, he sat down, and then Marianne was going wild in that bamboo with her machete, and then he stands up, goes to the other side, and like, you look like you're in a horror movie, right? So it's like, yeah, it was, it's. I get how it's so fun. It's so fun. She's probably fun in doses, but to be with her for 24 hours, that's gonna be hard. That's gonna be hard. And not just for her castmates, but even for herself. I mean, how would you be able to sustain that much energy,
Yeah.
especially with hunger setting in, with all of those different things setting in?
I don't think she's going to. Like, I
Mm.
guess this is one of those moving forward things, but like I was starting to see where you I was starting to see um sort of why you weren't vibing with Marianne towards the middle of the episode, but towards the end of the episode, particularly during tribal, the whole not the whole first terrible first date thing notwithstanding, but like the reminder that like she's playing Survivor, like I think that might have been like a moment that kind of
Mm.
changed her in a way. Like towards the back half of the episode, she didn't seem to have that same energy, or maybe that's just me.
We'll
um
see. We'll see. We didn't get to see any of her in the post credits, or sorry, the mid credits scenes that they show at the end of the episode. Um,
yeah,
yeah,
that was just my observation. The back half of the episode was not
she
energy.
wasn't
Like
as energetic.
when, yeah, she wasn't as when they realized that they had to vote someone out, like it was sort of I at least with her character, I read it as the show or the producers trying to show us a sort of loss of innocence. But I don't know, I'm hoping,
Wow, Zhao with the
that that's
interpretation of the
fuck yeah.
visuals that we're seeing, right?
I'm a media literacy teacher, this is what I do for a living, bro.
What is being evoked by what you see on the screen? What are the feelings, and what is the message that's being transmitted? Right. That's what we've got from Vice Chief Mr. Zhao. Wow.
The juxtaposition.
Yeah, the juxtaposition, right? Even with a thing like how, yeah, but that's cool. That's cool. Let's see. We'll see. I hope that she tones it down. She at least comes to the realization that playing with that much energy for 26 days, if she does last the 26 days, because if she does last the 26 days, I think that she's gonna win it all. But yeah, but she's gonna be dead tired by the end. Yeah, and if she devotes her energy towards being energetic, it will only be bad for her game, right? Because yeah, if you devote so much time to being up and up for everyone, you're not going to have energy, especially if you go into the individual challenges. Uh, you're not going to have enough energy to do that and win, right?
Yeah.
Oh gosh. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned the Ponderosa with Zach. Um, it would have worked out. Well, in my notes, because I didn't know that Zach said that, but it would have been to Marianne's favor if she got voted out, because she would have gotten all the time to spend with Zach and Ponderosa. And who
Yeah.
knows, by the time that the reunion show comes out, the whatever she said in the start of the challenge, what might have gotten true, right? she would have been one. She wouldn't have like a 100% rejection rate anymore because she would have spent a lot of time with Zach on Ponderosa. Yeah.
Apparently, like on their Twitters, I haven't checked, but apparently, like on their Twitters, they changed their last names to like each other's last names. like,
These kids are
kids
playing.
these
These
days.
kids are playing the viewers, man. Yeah, I'll make a point about that later with our final thoughts and predictions and our thoughts and predictions. But yeah, these kids, they've realized the power of the show beyond the show,
Right.
and yeah, that has to be something. That has to be something that the producers themselves have thought about. Who
Well, that was
knows?
another thing that I found pretty cool or pretty interesting.
Hmm.
This cast doesn't seem to know how to pull a good blindside because they keep on using their shots in the dark. Like the first two votes had the person voted out use their shot in the dark, which means the
Hmm.
blind side kind of sucked.
Hmm.
Apparently, it
Either
was
that or they had no intention of doing a blind side. But then again, yeah, they kind of did because as you mentioned, Jonathan said that the it was hard to lie, right?
yeah,
Yeah, and
like apparently Mariah, um, like during one of the post game interviews, um, the reason she brought her shot in the dark, like we were missing some context there. There were a couple of times where they straight up told her like, "We're going to miss Marianne. We're going to miss Marianne. She's not going to be here." And like Mariah was thinking to herself like, "Huh? Why would they tell me that? You know what? Something else must be afoot." So
mm,
bring that shot in the dark, and true enough, like she
back to back unanimous votes, right?
yeah. So like, oh, this is either the players are either the players that are getting voted out are good at reading the room, or what we've seen so far is that Ika and Taku are just terrible at blindsides.
Let's
Which
hope that the Vati is better because they've got the thinker there, they've got Jenny there, and they've got the schemer. They've got Daniel.
yeah, yeah, which is if Vati is up, if Vati is up next, it's going to be a Mike blindside.
Yeah. So let's go ahead to our thoughts and predictions. What are your main thoughts and predictions for the upcoming? What do you think is going to happen in the upcoming episodes? Or let's just look as far as the next episode, or maybe towards the end of the season.
Well, how
Has your
about this?
favorite to win it all changed?
Um, that's I'm still all in on high, dude.
You're still high on high.
I'm still high on high.
Mm.
Once again, because Southeast Asia represent.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though
That's
you'd be
good.
hard pressed, even though it'd be hard pressed to find a vegan in Southeast Asia, still Southeast Asia represent.
True, true. Well, they are gaining ground here in the Philippines, but yeah, yeah, that's true though.
What
Okay.
about you?
Hmm.
You're still all in on the Swati train?
Yeah, man. I like how they're slowly for me. I like the slow build up. I like the slow build up because she has that good backstory.
Hmm.
Ivy League student, National Guard, and then immigrant family, and then they're building her up in the show because you for me I'm contrasting her with Marianne. Marianne again also immigrant family seminary student comes into the show with all of that energy, and then you've got Swati on the other side. She's just quiet, she's scheming, she's strategic and all of that. uh it it's a for me it's a very good contrast, and I'm on the Swati side. I'm on the
Oh,
I'm all in. I'm still on SWAT. Yeah.
nice. I didn't think of that. Huh.
Yeah.
So, um, let's let's uh, let's do a little bit of what if, right? So, what if Ika is, what if Ika is in the next tribal council? Who gets voted out? Do you think?
Dude, it's gonna either be Tori or Drea. It's
Right,
gonna be
Taku.
either Tori. Taku. Taku. Hmm. Well,
We're down to
I
Marianne,
hope it's
Omar,
gonna be
Doc,
Marianne.
Marianne.
So just so that she can spend more time with Zach, right? Uh, it's her chance to uh, go after Zach, or befriend him at the very least, right? So yeah, it's either gonna be Marianne, possibly Lindsay, but only because, like what you said, we didn't get a lot of Lindsay this episode, and even if I now recalling it, we didn't quite get a lot of her even in the first episode, right?
So we're using hashtag Edgic that like if they're up on the chopping block next time, she's going to get her sob story and then like oh
Probably.
that's another highlight that I totally forgot to mention. Mariah's brother.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Apparently she didn't
She didn't
bury
get
the
to.
yeah, she
Yeah.
didn't get to bury the necklace. Like dick move on everybody's part, not letting her like bury the necklace.
Who knows? Who
Wait,
knows if they're gonna have a reunion show just like 41? Hopefully they will have the entire cast there. Oh, but now since restrictions are lower, they probably what do you call this? They're probably gonna have the reunion show in LA, right?
but then when they filmed it, right? They still filmed this
Oh,
during
true. During COVID, during like the
during
the height of COVID. So it's
that
yeah.
Omicron
Hopefully
spike.
they don't repeat what they did in 41 and had only the what do you
The
call
jury.
this? The jury and the final three, right? Because that was the reunion on season 41. Hopefully in 42 they bring everyone in.
Yeah,
Right?
we could have got more Voce and more JD, huh?
Yeah, right. More
That would have been
JD, Darren Fox, right? More who's that guy? Who's that big lanky guy? The one who ran the beach just to so that he can spy on the others. I forget his name.
oh
Anyway, yeah,
he was one
more.
of the guys that got blindsided there.
Yeah, yeah. Well, 41 had a lot of them. But yeah, one of my predictions, and this is based off of what I heard in the mid credit scene. Because in the mid credit scene, we don't quite see a lot of the contestants. We just see them in the challenge, and then I think it was Mike. Was it Mike who suddenly, or was it Roxroy
Roxroy.
who called for help?
Yeah.
And then Jeff goes ahead and says, so everybody stop. We've never done this in the entire history of Survivor. And he just said both tribes. So my prediction is actually there's gonna be a tribe swap. And one of the tribes is gonna get dissolved. That's my prediction. Because he said both tribes. He didn't say three tribes or whatever. All right.
So what
Uh
we're looking at is Taku getting broken up, you
Either
think?
or. I think that it's gonna be a full tribe swap. Like drop your buffs. You're gonna put up another, bring up another buff. Let's see what
Oh.
happens. Right.
So basically like so basically you're theorizing that they're essentially drawing rocks.
Essentially, yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Come up with break up all three tribes. We're now just gonna have two. Right.
So who would you like to see interact? Like which interactions would you be most looking forward to?
I now think that this brings in the beauty of the that you remember the early advantage, the
Yeah,
advantage
yeah, yeah.
amulet, the advantage
Yeah.
amulet. So now it brings that in, right? Because you don't know. Who knows? Maybe two of them will be in the same tribe. Most likely, two of them will be in the same tribe, right? Or if not, all three of them will be in the
That's
same
true.
tribe. So it brings that in. So are we gonna get? Am I going to get that person voted out, or are we gonna work to get the other person out on the other side, on the other tribe get voted out? Right? It brings that in. It makes it more relevant now, because there is a huge chance that two or all of them are going to be in the same tribe.
That's true. So like yeah, we're not gonna have to wait until the merge before it actually becomes a thing.
Yeah, yeah. But the only how do you say fly in the ointment to my prediction is the fact that we haven't seen the other two beware advantages get found. Right? Only Mike's has been found. And even in 41, they didn't do a tribe swap or anything like that until all three had been found and all three were activated, right?
But speaking of the Beware advantage, like I really for a split second there thought that Marianne's line, "He is every white guy that I have ever had a crush on," was the line.
Ooh. But then again, I mean, she follows it up with all of these different
Yeah, I
things, and
know.
you know that it's not the line that she really had. I mean, yeah, she went as far as telling, but then, yeah,
Well, for a split second there, I thought that
okay.
it might have been like clever editing, right? Like, you know, don't show us Marianne finding it and
Mm-hmm.
then just suddenly reveal that it was one of the lines that
Mm,
they had to say, and then Mike comes in and says his line about soccer to the dismay of Daniel and Chanel.
uh-huh.
Like
Mm.
I was thinking they were setting up
That would have been
that would have
cool.
been
That
pretty
would have
cool.
been cool. That would
Yeah.
have been cool. And then someone from Ika, let's just say that it's Drea again because she's the one who seemingly gets all of these advantages, right? Suddenly says something. Uh, but they do know, right? They do know if they do know the other phrases, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
They do know
Like
the other
well,
phrases.
all three of them are there.
Yeah.
I think it was in the in like the promo materials leading up to to Survivor 42 that they spoiled the fact that Drea got the Beware advantage.
Oh, I didn't catch that. So she did get it. Oh my God, Drea is.
Rather Tori, sorry,
Oh,
Tori.
Tori got it.
Tori
Okay.
got the Beware advantage, and
Oh.
the line had to do with like potatoes or
Oh
something.
yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah. I think you mentioned that. You mentioned that
yeah.
when we talked about the stuff we want in this season. Yeah. What about you? What are your predictions for the upcoming? Do you have any other predictions or thoughts about the upcoming episodes?
Man, I'm not going to be able to top yours because you actually read the you're actually able to read something from the preview, right? But my thought was like if they have to cancel a challenge, what happens? Like
Mm,
for immunity, like if something happens during an immunity challenge and they have to call it off for whatever reason, like all of a sudden there's like bad weather or
yeah.
um they
Yeah,
have
because
some
we're
sort of
not sure if what happened to Rocks is actually what precipitated Jeff
yeah.
having to cancel the challenge, right?
if
Yeah.
if it is indeed like a canceled challenge, right?
Mhm.
It could
Or it might
just
be because he said that it's something that they've never done in the history of Survivor. So it can't be someone cheating
mhm.
because they've had that in especially in the early years of Survivor. People, I mean, contestants or castaways would try to circumvent the rules, and then Jeff would call them out on it. So it can't be something like that. So it's got to be something like really worth stopping the challenge for.
Yeah. So like oh, what happens if a challenge is stopped?
Mm-hmm.
Like let's just say that it's an immunity challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Like does that mean that no
Nobody's
team,
immune.
like no tribes get immunity, or does that mean that everybody is immune and like we can forego this one episode because we didn't count on losing Jackson so early? Like,
True, true. But then again, the two of us, we have with our conspiracy theory, we didn't we think that they already had that planned out, right? Yeah.
like
Mm.
I don't know, when you look at a show like The Amazing Race, for example, you can kind of tell if there's going to be a non-elimination, like looking at how many people are left and how many episodes are left in the season. Like, yeah, there's going to be a non-elimination, or like, yeah, there's probably going to be a double elimination
Uh-huh.
somewhere. Like,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
you can kind
True.
of tell
True.
because of like the number of episodes that they have to fill. Not sure if not sure. I haven't done the math on it, but you know.
Yeah. Wait. So
Mm,
let's do the math right now. So aren't there 13 episodes, right? There are, right?
yeah,
Around 13. They don't get up to the 20s. I'm sure that they stay in the teens. There's 26, so every 2 days, 2 to 3 days. There were 18 survivors, right? There were 18 survivors, and they need to get it down to three. So they need to remove 15. There's gonna be a double elimination somewhere around. There's gotta be a double elimination, a couple of them around there, right?
yeah. Like that time that Nasir left, right? That was a double elimination.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, we'll wait and see what happens in the next episode. What they're gonna do. It's very compelling. I'm sure that even those who don't religiously watch Survivor like us are sort of compelled to watch because of that, especially if they saw that, right? Here's a thought that I got. I got to thinking about it because we raved about the design of the immunity idol, right? The Ouroboros,
Yeah.
and again, I sort of knew what it stood for, but they reiterated it on the podcast, on a podcast, about how it's supposed to be eating itself, and then it rebirths itself.
Hmm.
uh if they really thought of it that way, it is so clever of Survivor to design their immunity idol that way. Because in a sense, this is like Tito thoughts, 2 a.m. Tito thoughts about Survivor out of the blue. In a sense, you can actually think of Survivor rebirthing itself, right? You've got this show, which millions, probably millions of people all across the world watch, and a lot of them are kids. And then
Hmm.
later on, these kids, these people who become super fans of the show, they want to be on the show, so they
Yeah.
keep Survivor going, right? Because they're gonna apply to be in the show. They're gonna become the show that they watched, and then they're gonna be the ones right now. Especially they're really highlighting it. They're emphasizing it. They're now the ones who are going to how do you call this? Who are going to inspire the next generation of Survivor fans slash contestants. So it keeps on going, and the next generation are going to come in, and then they're going to inspire the next generation. It keeps on going, right?
And on top of that, season 41, rebirth.
Yeah,
Drop four. Keeps
yeah.
the
Drop
one.
the four, keep the one. So it's really
Um,
that. That's one. The other more producer. If I'm gonna wear a producer hat, aside from the whole inspiration thing, and this also goes into how if what you said about Marianne and Zach is true, that they've switched each other's surnames on Twitter. uh this goes into how Survivor has now embraced the advantage of not just being a show, an isolated show within itself, but having Rob has a podcast, having Idled Out, having Once on This Island, having what's the other guy?
Iridium.
Peridium. But mainly I think it's Rob has a podcast. Rob Sister Nino has like the direct line to
Yeah.
CBS and Survivor, because he's the one who does the exit interviews. He's the one who does all of that. I think that the producers, Mark Burnett, Jeff Probst, and all of the producers of Survivor have accepted the fact that they are now taking advantage of a wider environment that feeds the show, right? And then the show feeds all of these podcasts
That's
like
true.
not unlike ours, right? But
Yeah.
yeah, and then although we probably don't drive viewers to Survivor just yet, right? But all of these, like, yeah, all of these, Rob has a podcast, will drive more fans back to the show, and then the show will feed the podcast, right? So again, it's that whole cyclical thing. So yeah, that's my Ouroboros thoughts. Those are my uh 2 a.m. Tito thoughts about Survivor and the immunity idol, and why I love it, and why I love the design. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
Can't wait for Thursday.
right? So yeah, Survivor shows up over here in the Philippines on Thursday mornings. It shows up in the US on Wednesdays. So yeah,
Wednesday.
be sure to catch it Wednesday evenings. Yeah, and anyway, that is it for this episode of the Council of Titos. Season 42 continues to give us new and interesting things to watch. Especially, I really am curious what happened during that challenge. Hopefully, they can keep this all up, and hopefully, Marianne can learn to cool things down. This has been Chief Bisdak Joel Parcon on behalf of Vice Chief Bisdak Jal. We hope you can join us on the next council. Until then, stay safe, everyone. The Titas have spoken.